with you and Mr. Fuji teaming together, I mean, you were more of a team, not in the ring, but in all these segments, and especially on the old TNT show. And I will ask about all of those, of course, but I've got to also ask the TNT show itself. Where was it filmed originally? Because it seemed like you were on constantly, and you were you were just always on. And I think it was filmed in Baltimore originally. And was this on?
Yeah.
Was this on days off, or was this you were taken off the road for a day to participate?
Oh, it's a Saturday morning on your way to somewhere.
Oh,
everything was the days off. And then you'd have to define what a day off was back in that era. No, they would you'd have a TV shooting. You'd be there 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and we'd start with the it was a TNT, like a Johnny Carson or like a Tonight Show type. Well, you'd be familiar.
yeah.
Like a Tonight Show type thing, and they came around all that Fuji Vice, Fuji Hospital, Fuji Bandito stuff. That all came up. Roddy Piper was, and he ended up in Hollywood. And he was acting aficionado, and I guess he didn't want to do the soap opera. It's an old Search for Tomorrow. It was like as one of the original. So I remember when I was a little tiny kid running around, and my mother or somebody's mother watching it on black and white TV. So it had been around forever. And a few years after we did it, it went off the air finally. But it had been around forever. So I guess Piper didn't want to do it. So Vince sent us down, me and Fuji down, to do it. And it was we're coming to your town. I think it was Springfield or something else, where the town was located, and we're going to the main arena, and I'm wrestling that night in your town. I'm wrestling Hulk for the title, boom, 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 and me and Fuji, and eventually I ended up tearing up the TV studio, and Hulk, and went back and forth, and we did a week shooting, and it took about 2-3 hours. It's amazing how they do those soap operas, and they cut little pieces here and there, and they assemble everything as it goes along. We did a week and a half worth of shows in just a couple of hours.
Oh, so it was actually
That was the beginning.
Sorry, so you do the TNT show, and it was like a block. You do like a month's worth of shows, basically, is what you're saying.
Oh, not the TNT. The TNT was an entire show.
Right.
I was going back to the soap opera. But those vignettes, those little sketches, they were all filmed. They were filmed and inserted later to accommodate the time, and of the program. I forget, it was an hour and a half show, but it was pretty groundbreaking as far as wrestling goes. TNT USA Network.
So there were certain people at this time. There was sort of the old school professional wrestler and the more modern thinking professional wrestler. I'm not saying either one's right, of course. Who some people really hated the segments and the skits and the TNT style accompaniments to the matches, and others really embraced it. I'm trying to think, like someone like George the Animal Steel really embraced it. Bruno Sammartino really hated that kind of thing. Where were you and Fuji in that equation as far as these skits and segments?
Hey, Vince was the boss. It's just, it was good. It was actually fun doing it. They would. We're talking about Fuji. They never put a script. They had a suggestion. Lines. They had lines. Lines for Fuji, but they never held him. They never held him to his lines. And Nelson, the guy's name that filmed it, the producer, the director of the show, he says, well, we give Mr. Fuji, we give him the script, but we don't, we let whatever. There's one thing is withstand the test of time. That the Fuji goes, yes, this will withstand the taste of time. They let it go. There was, all that stuff was just brilliant. It just it was natural. It was just, and it wasn't planned. It wasn't suggested. I remember I was back here. My wife was having a baby. My wife was pregnant. In fact, my daughters put the shot up, but I got the 2 or 3 girls rubbing me down on the beach and stuff. My old lady's sitting at home, 9 months pregnant, and all that stuff's going on. They flew Fuji. That's when they flew Fuji and Nelson and a camera crew in, and they hired the girls from modeling and stuff to come down and that's when he became my manager. At that point, I was going around, I was doing beach scenes with the bikini girls and going around, and I had some shots of me surfing and stuff. And when that's when Fuji was. I don't know if he was managing at the time anybody with the top hat and before I came in, but that's when Fuji and I. That's when Fuji and I. It comes to mind now. It's kind of a jumble, but that's when Fuji and I got hooked up together. Is that thing? And we're going around the island. It's not hot here, but at the time it was humid. He's got the tuxedo, the hat on, and stuff. Went to a village, a temple with the gong and stuff. We did shots over there, and we went all around the island. And me coming back to WWF at the time, and that's where Fuji and I hooked up. That's where he became my manager.
Which of the 4? Because I think there were like 4 main segments, and I had completely never ever heard or seen of Fuji-chan, which is where you are the explorer jealous of the other explorer, and you stab him, and it has was it Professor Morocco like initial on the thing. That was probably the funniest one. And Mr. Fuji just steals the show.
I don't remember it. I'm blank. I haven't seen that. And I don't remember it.
Oh, that's the funniest one. I watched all of them, and then I completely missed Fuji-chan until today, and then I saw it. That's so the funniest one.
I gotta go through YouTube. We did so much, we were going all the time there. It's hard to recall. I remember what did we start with? Fuji Hospital or Fuji General?
It was Fuji General. I'll give you all 4 of them. So it was Fuji General, okay. Fuji Vice, Fuji-chan, and Fuji Bandito, where they're in like the little saloon thingy.
Fuji Vice was the last one. Yep. Fuji Vice was the last one. I remember Bandito and I remember Hospital. I draw a blank with Fuji. I remember the Fuji-chan. It sounds familiar now. Yeah. But I'm it's I don't remember it.
The punchline is you pay Fuji. You're clearly the murderer, and you pay Fuji off. And Fuji's looking in the camera, going, "Ha ha ha ha! You'll make very good. You make very good decision." And then it ends. It's so funny.
Oh God. Yeah, all the enemies in the Academy Awards they put them on the back shelf for that.
Do you remember?
I don't know. It was. What was in McMahon's mind. They're all Vince's, and obviously we were able to mold and be molded and it felt naturally. There's a lot of talent around the W. Bobby Heenan, Piper, Hart. Bret Hart was just a preliminary kid. All the guys. George Steele, Lou Albano. You just had the Chief, all the talent, Adrian and Dick Murdoch, and there was so much talent around. Everybody was like a natural clown, and everybody had a sense of humor, and Vince was able to compartmentalize all the individuals and come up with the characters and stuff for everybody, or a vignette that they could perform in. You did it for us.
In a couple of the skits, you've got to give me a couple of opinions on Freddie Blassie, who turns up, and the Fabulous Moolah, who both turn up in 2 of them. You're going to have to watch Fuji-chan again so you can see it, but they're also in Fuji Bandito. Was it you who was always requesting those 2 to turn up in them, or were they just, here you go?
No, Moolah was always my girlfriend for everything. Her and I just, and there are millions. In fact, yeah, Moolah was always my love interest for some reason. Well, she was Moolah. Everybody looked at her, the Bobby Heenan jokes and, about Moolah and all Oh God. But yeah, she was always, for some reason, I guess, Vince, I'm sure Vince was in the back room chuckling. Mula's always my love interest in all those, not by request, but you saw actually where I taught everybody how to take a proper suntan
I didn't
with
see that
the
one.
two.
I saw so many. I saw
Well,
you doing the stand-up
they brought
comedy.
two twins from the old Penthouse magazine, and they're nice looking girls, big, things. And I got down there, me and Fuji and Vince had this big table, like a massage table set up, and you people are, condescendingly, you people are so stupid. I'm gonna teach you how to take a proper suntan. So which wasn't a bad idea. And he had the twin centerfold girls rubbing the oil on me, which would have been great. He even had them massaging my feet, which would have been wonderful if it hadn't been Fuji holding the bottle of baby oil, which completely ruined my experience. Because I'm laying on my back and okay, you can stop now. I'm just this puddle, and there was no shower in that Baltimore studio either. So this is just I'm just covered with oil. I'm covered with baby oil. And you just to be a puddle of baby oil on my back, and these two twin centerfolds that you have to come in and rub the oil all over me and rub on my feet. And I got out of that thing. I was just all day long. I was just wiping myself down. I couldn't. I was just soaked with oil. I said, "Oh God, yeah, that's It's funnier on the inside." It wasn't funny. But I'm just, I'm biting my tongue the whole time while he's emptying. It was a big, it wasn't an economy bottle of baby oil. It was one of those big, 16, 32-ounce bottles, and we used all but probably that much of it. I mean, it was.
I've got to ask you I've got to ask you about two more segments. The stand-up comedy thing, because who wrote those jokes for starters? You couldn't get through a single sentence without like flubbing one line, which was really funny. And then Fuji started interrupted, and you couldn't understand what he was saying.
It was so fast. The idea of the whole segment was the worse the better. I'd come down, and that was following Fuji Vice. So we'd come out on the TNT show, and I announced that I've done everything. I've taken over movies, I've taken over television. I can do this. You saw me act on that. You saw us act. You saw us performing here on Fuji this and Fuji that. I said I can do anything. So I can do a stand-up monologue, which is the hardest thing to do. And then these are all. This is naturally. This is all these lines are fed to me. It wasn't my own. But I can do stand-up. I can do the Johnny Carson better than Johnny Carson can. So that was a preamble to that kind of thing. So the philosophy behind that is that I had no clue what the monologue was to begin with. And they put it on the TV when the TV used to have the wording, the words used to run.
Yeah, the auto cue.
Yeah, the cues, and they ran it. I'm reading, and I never saw it before, and they're running it so fast. I'm reading it, and then we go and thinking. I saw it again recently. That only thing I remember is saying something about Imelda Marcos. I don't remember any of that monologue at all. They were just running it. I'm just Imelda Marcos in the chamber of all the shoes. I'm going as fast as I can, trying to keep up with the prompter, and trying to. And they're coming with the rim shots with the horrible jokes and stuff. And I'm flubbing every line, but I'm just trying to keep up with the teleprompter. And then the worse the better. So as far as Vince's concerned, that was a 5-star. That was a 5-star performance. I don't think I got any calls from Johnny Carson after that, or any NBC or any networks, anything to co-host any talk shows. But after that performance, but that was what they had in mind. Believe it or not.
Oh no, I totally believe it. I saw the acting performances first, and then I saw that.
Different ways to humiliate ourselves, yeah.
It's probably why you invited back so many times. You were so good at doing it. You just you were game for a
Yeah,
laugh and up for
I
anything.
was used to being humiliated. Yeah.
I've got to ask this, and it's the last thing I'll ask in this thing, and then I'll ask a few more questions, and then we'll sort of wrap it up for the day. But Fuji Vice, it's the most famous one. Where was it filmed?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, I've got to mention this as well. So you're on the boat, right? And you're on the drug boat, or it's meant to be a drug boat. And I'm looking at it thinking, this is the most Mickey Mouse boat. It looks like a fishing boat that you're on instead of like a Miami drug boat. And then there's like a wide shot where it's coming down the sea, and the boat's called the Angler. I was like, all right, okay, then so it was a fishing boat after all. Then
I don't know what it was. I was in Hawaii. I was on vacation in Hawaii. I think I come back for something, and they called me. The office called me and says, "You got to come back a couple of days. Vince has got this idea about another Fuji episode he wants to film, and we changed your flights." I had my wife and 2 kids with me, I think, at the time, and you guys were inside the boat. Oh, they were in the boat. So I had my wife. So they changed my flight. I was going back to Newark, whereas I was living in Jersey. So they changed my flights to back to Baltimore. I had a limo waiting there, picked me and my family up, took us to Ocean City, Maryland, where we were filming that. And they took me right to a nightclub that Vince that was evidently closed for the night, or Vince had bought the whole nightclub for the night. So they took me and dropped my family off at the hotel, stay in the car. We're going here to film. So we go to the nightclub, this nightclub, and they give me, that was it. The lines, the camera, action. That was it. That was the start of Fuji Vice. Then the other scenes that they were compiled together that they had, but it started. I got off the plane in Baltimore. Took the limo to Ocean City, dropped my family off at whatever hotel we were at, and then I went straight to the nightclub, and we started filming. But it was about 8, 9, 10 at night, and worked into the morning, and then started again next day or so.
Did you think at any point that it was actually going to be good, or was it always meant to just be absolutely terrible and you knew it?
Oh yeah, it was. Well, yeah, I had the way Fuji used to murder the English language. You knew there was no there's no Jack Nicholson coming out of me there. So, which Fuji was standing the test of time, and the different the way he would murder the English language. Yeah, it was meant to. It was meant to as a parody.